Hi students, as we know, we need energy to do different activities in our daily life. Do you know how we get energy to do different activities in our life? That process, the energy released process, that only you can say here respiration. So today we are going to study what is the process of respiration. What is respiration? Respiration is the process where energy is released when the oxidation of food by the release of energy plus carbon dioxide water, that you can say respiration. So respiration is the process of release of energy. We get energy by the help of respiration. Here we are going to study, there are two different types of respiration: aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration, what's the meaning of aerobic respiration? Aerobic respiration takes place in the presence of oxygen. In the presence of oxygen, it completely glucose, it completely oxidized into carbon dioxide, water and energy. So here we can study what is aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration, here you can see glucose C6H12O6. Glucose completely oxidized, completely burnt by the help of oxygen to form carbon dioxide, water and energy. First of all, this glucose, it is oxidized by the help of oxygen to form pyruvate. This is called pyruvate. Pyruvate is the intermediate compound formed in the cytoplasm. So first of all, glucose, it is converted into 6 carbon compound glucose, it is converted into 3 carbon compound, that you can say pyruvate. This process takes place in cytoplasm. Glucose converted into pyruvate takes place in cytoplasm. Then if oxygen is available from the cytoplasm, this pyruvate, it moves into mitochondria. In the mitochondria, this pyruvate, it converts into carbon dioxide, water and energy. So in the mitochondria, energy is released. As we know, aerobic respiration is complete oxidation. So 38 ATP molecules are formed, means energy is formed. So in the mitochondria, this process takes place, half process takes place in cytoplasm and energy is released in mitochondria. That's why you have studied in lower classes, mitochondria is called powerhouse of the cell where the energy is released. So this you can say aerobic respiration. Next we are going to study about anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration takes place in the absence of oxygen. It takes place in the cytoplasm in the absence of oxygen. Then anaerobic respiration, there are two anaerobic respiration here we are going to study. One you can say yeast fermentation, another one is lactic acid fermentation. First of all, we can study what is yeast fermentation. Yeast fermentation, as we know what is yeast. Yeast is one of the unicellular organism which is used in the bakery for the baking purpose, and also in yeast, glucose, it will convert it into pyruvate. So pyruvate is the intermediate compound of both aerobic and anaerobic respiration. It is the intermediate product. So here also glucose is converted into pyruvate, and this pyruvate in the cytoplasm itself, it will convert into alcohol, carbon dioxide and 2 ATP molecules. So in yeast, what are the byproducts of respiration? Means alcohol, carbon dioxide and ATP. Here you can understand only 2 ATP molecules are formed. Now next you can see lactic acid fermentation. This lactic acid fermentation, it takes place in human muscle. When lack of oxygen there in the human muscle, after a long athlete, means after a long heavy work, heavy running, there will be the lack of oxygen in the muscle. That time glucose will convert into pyruvate, then this pyruvate is converted into lactic acid plus ATP, 2 molecules of ATP is formed. What happens, this lactic acid will be accumulated in the muscle. That time, sometime we get muscle cramps. This muscle cramps is because of the lactic acid, accumulation of lactic acid. So these two process, yeast fermentation and lactic acid fermentation, this you can say incomplete oxidation, or you can say partial burning or partial oxidation of food. Only 2 ATP molecules are formed. These both process, yeast fermentation, lactic acid fermentation, complete process takes place in cytoplasm. So this is about the respiration, two different types of respiration. Now here you can see what's the difference between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. This is one of the 3 marks question in 10th board exam. First of all, you can see aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration takes place in the presence of oxygen. Anaerobic respiration, it takes place in the absence of oxygen. Then aerobic respiration, it takes place in the half of the process takes place in cytoplasm, half of the process takes place in mitochondria. But in anaerobic respiration, complete process takes place in cytoplasm only. Then next you can see aerobic respiration is the complete oxidation of food, but anaerobic respiration is the partial oxidation, or you can see incomplete oxidation of food. Next you can see what are the byproducts of aerobic respiration. Byproducts of aerobic respirations are carbon dioxide, water and 38 ATP molecules. But anaerobic respiration, in yeast fermentation, byproducts are alcohol, carbon dioxide and ATP. But in lactic acid fermentation, in the human muscle, only lactic acid and energy is formed. See, as we know, here you can see ATP molecules, means in mitochondria, by the help of aerobic respiration, 38 ATP molecules, means energy is released. So mitochondria is called powerhouse of the cell. Then ATP, you can say it is the energy currency of the cell. So energy stored in human by the help of, in the form of ATP. Whenever we need energy to do different activities, no, this ATP, it converts, it broken down into ADP. From ADP only we are getting energy to do different activities. When we don't want any energy, when we sit simply, no work and all, that time this energy stored in the form of ATP. Thank you friends.